France spends $388 billion a year on pensions. That's 14% of their entire economy. Every seventh euro mailed to the past. Spain tried this exact model. They built a $66 billion piggy bank for retirement. A decade later, $2 billion. Pocket change. I'm Marcus, dead Roman philosopher. I've been watching economies collapse for 2,000 years, and I keep seeing the same mistake with better fonts. Today, how France is speedrunning Spain's playbook, and why Marie, a 34-year-old nurse in Lyon, is going to pay for it. Here's the math that breaks everything. France has 2.6 workers for every retiree right now. By 2070, it's 1.7. That's not a pension system. That's a group project where half the group dropped the class. I'm only going to say that ratio once. It's the only number that matters. Everything else is just consequences. The consequences look like this: $6.6 billion deficit by 2025, $15 billion by 2035, $30 billion by 2045. The hole gets deeper, the ladder gets shorter. The math doesn't blink. So the government does the obvious, politically suicidal thing: raise retirement age from 62 to 64. Paris sets itself on fire. Everyone screams, and it barely buys time. Because 2 years of extra work doesn't fix 40 years of demographic collapse. It's like bailing out the Titanic with a coffee mug. Points for effort, still sinking. This isn't about laziness. This isn't about greed. This is about a system designed for one reality running headfirst into another. Meet Marie. She's 34, nurse in Lyon, works nights, pays into the system every month. Her retirement plan is basically, please don't change the rules again. Marie did everything right. Stable job, never missed a contribution, didn't gamble her paycheck on meme coins. Her reward? Watching the finish line move like it's on wheels. Her mother's generation got a deal. Retire at 60, live decently, health covered, vacation in Spain. Her generation gets the same bill, plus a rental market that treats bedrooms like luxury yachts, and a retirement age that keeps sliding backward. The system Marie pays into works like this: pay as you go. Translation: today's workers fund today's retirees, right now. There's no giant vault somewhere. There's no investment portfolio growing quietly. There's a conveyor belt. Workers put money on one end. Retirees take it off the other. The belt is slowing down, and the retirees keep multiplying. Almost 1 out of every 4 government euros goes to pensions. Let that sink in. The French state is basically a retirement delivery service that occasionally does other things, like defense or schools, or keeping the lights on. And because pensions are politically sacred, everything else gets squeezed first. Marie's hospital is understaffed, constant overtime, burnout like a lifestyle choice. The system pays retirees reliably. It pays workers in stress and antidepressants. Is this sustainable? No. Are they doing it anyway? Obviously. The Romans had a word for this kind of trap. Actually, they had several words. Most of them are carved on ruins now. Now, here's where it gets darkly funny. In 2023, the pension system was actually in surplus. $8.5 billion in the black. Champagne all around. Not because it's healthy. Because inflation played a timing trick. Inflation hit wage revenues fast. Pension payouts adjust with a lag. So it looked fine for a moment. Like a drowning guy smiling because the wave hasn't landed yet. Then 2024 showed up and collected. The surplus was a glitch, not a solution. Money printer go brr doesn't fix demographics. It just delays the panic. And the panic is patient. The average French pension is about 1,626 euros a month. That's not yacht money. That's groceries, rent, and please don't cut my heating. These aren't rich people hoarding gold. These are normal retirees trying to survive. That's why the politics are nuclear. Retirees vote, workers complain, politicians pick the obviously wrong dialogue option. Borrow now, argue later, pray forever. The government's pension watchdogs project a widening gap. By 2045, accumulated deficits could push hundreds of billions of extra debt onto the books. That's your $400 billion mistake in slow motion. Spend $388 billion a year, then stack another $400 billion in debt because the system can't balance itself. Workers hear this and don't feel relief. They feel dread. Because uncertainty is its own tax. People pay it with anxiety, with exit plans, with decisions not to have kids. And exit plans matter. When skilled young people leave, you don't just lose taxes. You lose the future contributors the pension system literally requires to exist. It's a feedback loop built like a blender. And someone keeps pressing puree. Okay, France is the wound. Now let me show you the ghost of Christmas future. Spain in the 2000s felt rich, cheap credit everywhere, construction boom, sunny optimism, good vibes only. The government saw rising pension contributions and thought, wow, we're geniuses. They built that reserve fund, $66 billion, called it the hucha, the piggy bank. Spain was proud of that piggy bank. Politicians pointed to it. See, we're responsible. We're saving for the future. Then the housing bubble popped. Jobs evaporated. By May 2013, unemployment hit 26.9%, 1 in 4 workers. That's not a recession. That's a society forgetting what a normal week feels like. And here's the thing about pay-as-you-go pensions. They don't care about your feelings. They still have checks to mail. 1 in 4 workers gone means 1 in 4 contributions gone. But grandma still needs her payment. So Spain started raiding the piggy bank, slowly at first. Then like someone pawning family jewelry to pay rent. $66 billion in 2011, $50 billion by 2013, $25 billion by 2016. By the end of 2020, that $66 billion was down to $2.1 billion. From a savings account to pocket change. That's the trap in one image. A decade of promises, drained in a decade of panic. And Spain didn't stop paying pensions. Of course not. That would be political suicide. They just shifted the funding source. More state transfers, more debt, more, we'll fix it next term. Spain's budgets started needing massive infusions just to keep pension checks going. That's not a fund anymore. That's life support. Here's how welfare collapses in rich countries. Benefits don't vanish overnight. That's not how it works. The financing just mutates, from contributions to taxes to borrowing to austerity. The checks still arrive. The country behind them weakens, slowly, quietly, like a building with termites. Meanwhile, young Spaniards did what young humans always do when the ground shakes. They left. Germany, UK, anywhere the future looked less like a hostage situation. Brain drain is the quiet part of collapse. Nobody riots about it. The talented just stop showing up. Spain's story isn't lazy people. Spain's story is a system built for steady employment, getting punched by mass unemployment and aging at the same time. Both fists, same face, repeatedly. Now here's my part. I've watched this pattern before. Rome's veteran pensions started reasonable. Land for soldiers, coin for service, fair exchange. Then the empire expanded. More soldiers, more promises, more territory to defend. By 280 AD, military and veteran costs were eating 70% of the budget. Emperor Diocletian tried price controls, carved maximum prices into stone. You can still read those stones today. The empire's gone, though. Spain found infinite money in the Americas, gold and silver pouring in. They spent it all on wars and welfare. Went bankrupt 4 times in 50 years. Britain built the world's largest empire, then built a welfare state on top of it. The empire left. The welfare state stayed. The bills accumulated. Different empires, different centuries, same pattern. Promise now, finance later, consequences always. France looks at Spain and thinks, that's different. Different language, same spreadsheet. So let me place France on the timeline. I use a 6-stage framework. Every collapse follows it. Stage 1, easy money. You find a cheat code. Gold, oil, reserve currency, debt markets that don't ask questions. Stage 2, expansion. You spend the easy money on everything, military, welfare, prestige projects. We can afford it all. Stage 3, overreach. Commitments exceed resources, but debt papers over the gap. We'll grow out of it. Stage 4, denial. Numbers turn negative. Leadership insists everything is fine. The fundamentals are strong. Stage 5, acceleration. Brain drain. Capital flight. Institutional decay. The spiral speeds up. Why is everyone leaving? Stage 6, collapse or managed fade. The music stops. Rome hit stage 6 in 476 AD. Spain hit it in the 1600s. Britain hit it in the 1970s. France is at stage 4, flirting with stage 5. The numbers are turning negative. Leadership is still bargaining with gravity. France's pension spending is 14.4% of GDP, higher than the Eurozone average, and it creeps up every year as boomers retire. Between 2001 and 2023, pensions went from 23% to 25% of government spending. 1/4 of the state is a retirement pipeline. Meanwhile, the working-age population is projected to shrink by 3 million by 2070. In some projections, a third of France will be over 65. Fewer workers, longer retirements, same promises. It's a math meme that writes itself. Stage 5 doesn't require panic. It just requires drift. France can drift into it with beautiful protests, great wine, and a deficit line that quietly becomes a wall. Spain drifted into Stage 5 during the Great Recession. Mass unemployment, youth leaving, reserve fund drained. Spain didn't become a failed state. It became a permanently stressed state. There's a difference. That's the Spanish trap. You keep the benefits. You finance them with transfers and debt. The welfare state survives. The growth engine doesn't. You become a place that was something. A museum of your former economy. If you're still here, you see the pattern. This isn't doom-mongering. It's pattern recognition. The same pattern, repeating for 2,000 years, with different flags and better spreadsheets. If you want more of these collapse playbooks, subscribe. I do this every week. The next country will be even weirder. Now, let's talk endings. Because France still has a choice. One path where Marie retires. One where Marie works until she drops. Here's what decides which. But first, one more Spanish lesson. Spain didn't collapse because it spent money. It collapsed because the spending became permanent and the revenue became temporary. France is doing the reverse. Permanent promises funded by a permanent tax squeeze. Different flavor. Same hangover. The bill always finds someone. Okay, the fork in the road. Path A, the Renaissance. It starts with admitting the pension system is a balance sheet attached to human bodies, not a moral statement. A math problem with feelings. Renaissance means pushing the effective retirement age up, not as punishment. Because longer lives require longer careers or smaller checks. Pick one. It means making work cheaper. Lower the payroll tax hammer. Broaden the tax base. Stop treating hiring like a crime. A bigger workforce is the cleanest fix that doesn't require borrowing from the future. It means productivity, less red tape, more investment, more housing, more energy reliability, more competition. Boring words. They decide whether the future pays bills or sends them. It means simplifying the pension maze. France has dozens of schemes with dozens of exceptions. Complexity is a subsidy for insiders and a tax for everyone else. It probably means adjusting how fast pensions grow, not ripping them away. Aligning increases with what workers actually earn. It means treating demographics like infrastructure, family policy, childcare, housing affordability, sensible immigration. You can't spreadsheet your way out of missing humans. You actually need the humans. None of this is fun. It's a decade of pain and political damage, but it buys something. A France that still builds, exports, and invents, not just remembers. In that France, retirement becomes boringly predictable. Not rich, not magical. Just stable enough that you can plan a life without needing a crystal ball. Path B, the museum. Keep benefits generous. Keep retirement early. Cover the gap with higher taxes and more borrowing until the music stops. Museum France still looks rich. Cafes are full. Streets are gorgeous. Tourists photograph a society that used to be an industrial power and is now a lifestyle brand. Behind the postcard, you get slow stagnation. Wages grow weekly. Young professionals leave. The state becomes a transfer machine. Money flows from workers to retirees, from the future to the past, from possibility to preservation. To sustain it, you raise contributions again. Hiring slows again. Growth weakens again. That's not collapse. That's slow, polite suffocation with excellent cheese. In the museum path, you do what Spain did after its crash. Protect pensions by squeezing everything else. Public investment shrinks. Services fray. The future becomes optional. The most tragic part is the vibe. People stop believing reforms matter. They retreat into cynicism. When a country loses belief, it loses growth before it loses money. So the fork is psychological. Pain now so your kids breathe later, or comfort now and sell the future for one more calm year. Based on 2,000 years of observation, most societies pick the museum. It's quieter, it's more comfortable. It's also how empires fade without noticing. But France still has a choice: education, infrastructure, talent, global companies, nuclear power plants that actually work, a culture that can do hard things when it decides to. Spain is the warning sign, not a joke. A neighbor showing what happens when welfare becomes religion and the economy becomes the donation box. All right, one image, one thesis, done. Marie will clock in tomorrow night. She'll lift bodies, chart meds, calm families, and pay into a system that keeps promising it'll be fine. She's not the problem. The problem is $388 billion a year flowing to retirement while the worker base shrinks. That's the mistake. Yesterday's design running on tomorrow's credit card. Spain already proved the trap. When the base cracks, you drain reserves, borrow, transfer, and call it stability. The checks arrive. The country weakens. I've seen this movie before. The ending doesn't change. The only variable is speed. If you want to see which country is next in line, subscribe. I'll keep translating the spreadsheets into human pain, so at least you're not surprised when it arrives.